Tiffany. And we are going to have a good quick wrap up of what the trends are going on and figure out if the shares and votes and seats are going as per the expectation. But more importantly, what has happened in the areas where the ANC was not that divided, and what has happened in the areas where the ANC House was not really in good shape. So let's see the united fight of the Free State. The key marker is 60% votes. Has the vote share of ANC gone down below 60%? Free State, they are still maintaining 62% votes. One-way traffic. Remind you, the areas where they stand united are the areas which are in direct stronghold of President Zuma, and the areas where there has been a bickering are the areas where the anti-Zuma faction has created whatsoever big kind of troubles during this run-up to the poll. So we are going to wrap up all those provinces one by one. After Free State, Mpumalanga, another area, President Zuma works 70% one-way traffic. After Mpumalanga, the next province, please. Northwest, 60.47, and this data, remind you, is only up to 3 o'clock. And when the proportional representation data gets in, this figure is going to be up couple of points. So 60% mark is still maintained. In KZN, remind you, this is one area where ANC has kept their votes intact. It is their alliance, the votes which have shifted towards the Inkatha Freedom Party because they were they're having a trouble and their party was not allowed to contest. So that vote has gone to Inkatha Freedom Party. Otherwise, ANC has maintained the vote share of 55%. That's pretty remarkable. Now for the divided houses, Gauteng, look at the vote share and the drop. ANC for the first time has gone below the 50% mark in Gauteng. Right now at 44, still they are keeping ahead of the DA in Gauteng. That is fine. But that invincibility or having the vote share of greater than 60%, greater than 50%, that is no more there. ANC has gone remarkably below 50% mark in Gauteng. Western Cape, in fact, it has gone from worst to worst in a way that this figure that they used to be almost about 40% 10 years back. They even polled 5 years back about 34%. Now they are hovering around a quarter, roughly about 25% of the votes. Not a good sign of a divided house. Limpopo, one house where they are still polling about 70%. That is a remarkable thing. And another thing which is remarkable about Limpopo, that this is the area where EFF was supposed to do really good. But I guess they are going to be disappointed a lot by not really breaching the 20% mark in Limpopo for the EFF. We are going to have a look at that later on. In Eastern Cape, again, the data is getting down to 65%. Still managing into the 60s, not below the 60% mark in Eastern Cape. And we have to look into the data, especially for the Nelson Mandela Bay, to understand where the vote shares are going. Northern Cape, again breaching the 60% mark. For the first time, the vote share of ANC has gone below 60% mark in Northern Cape. That's the result of a divided house, because when there are problems in the party, then these kind of results come up. Still, it is a very strong show of ANC as far as their cadre and grassroots workers is concerned. In Tshwane, for the first time since morning, the ANC has finally taken the lead. It's now 42.87 against DA 42.7, and this is going to notch up further a little bit, because I was doing the data crunching right now just before coming onto the show, and we were realizing that the results which were concentrated in the middle of the Tshwane, they were all marked yellow. That means a DA lead. And the external periphery wards were all going green. This shows that the results which are still about to come are largely on the external periphery, which are likely to go to the ANC way. And when those votes are incorporated, when those results come in, then this vote share is likely to go a percent or so further up in the north. So Tshwane is now, ANC is back in business at the moment, the trend show. In Joburg, well, 58 to 42. That's a remarkable drop of ANC, but somehow it is now tied. And again in Joburg, we have seen the results when they trickle in, the trends when they trickle in, the EFF votes and ANC votes, they slowly pick up at the other side of the day. So we are expecting that EFF vote in Johannesburg also likely to go up by a couple of points. And if that happens, then ANC from here onward, only 51% of the votes have been counted. Still half the votes still to go. So we are expecting that in Joburg, now from here onward, the ANC lead is likely to increase rather than getting down. In Nelson Mandela Bay, that's the story, very key story. From the vote share perspective, 52 to 39, that's a huge drop. That's what it looks like. From 40 to 49, that's a huge climb for the DA. This is what it looks like. But there are two catch over here. Number one catch is that in the seats that have been declared, ANC leads more over DA. That's the catch number one. Catch number two, while doing data mining, we also discovered that there are about 8 seats, 8 wards in Nelson Mandela Bay, where it's actually EFF which is running number 2 to ANC and DA is running number 3. Those seats are not declared yet. I presume, when that vote share will get reflected here, then EFF vote, by virtue of being number 2 in those seats, is likely to go up a bit, and DA vote, by virtue of being number 3 in those seats, is likely to go down a bit. So this game is still not over till all the votes are in, and we still have 91% votes counted, 10% of the votes remaining, but those 10% of the votes are largely from the area where DA candidates are running number 3, not number 2 to ANC. So that is an interesting catch that we need to keep on. Now looking back to the EFF, have they performed the way they actually wish to? Yes and no. There is certainly a positive swing for EFF in each and every province. You can have a look. KZN from about 2 to 3%, Western Cape 2 to about 3%, Eastern Cape from 3 to roughly about 5%. So 1 or 2% of swing, upswing for EFF in all these provinces. In other provinces also, when we look into the data, there is a definite positive swing for EFF. But is that positive swing good enough for them? Is it that good enough that they were expecting for? Barring Limpopo, they have really crossed the 15% mark elsewhere. They are still hovering around 7-8% mark national level. If they go and cross 10% mark, that would be an interesting thing. Here are the other, you can see, in Northern Cape, they have kind of doubled from 5 to approximately 9-4% swing here. Mpumalanga, 6% to 9%, approximate 3% swing. Free State, only about a 1% swing. But one province, one single province, that's the Limpopo, where they have consolidated and become a de facto number 2 party in the province. And that is where they must and they should have consolidated further. Here you see Limpopo 10% to 11% to 17%. But ideally they should have breached 25% mark over here. That ain't happening over here. So I guess positive swing, they have hold on to what their gains were, but this gain is still not going that way where EFF would have believed. Back to you, Steph.